door. Hello, beautiful people. So today, I actually was going to talk about some other things, but this popped into my mind again that common topic that comes up in my brain ongoing not ongoing, yeah, I'd say ongoing basis, relationships in general. That's kind of how it goes with me. It is one of my favorite subjects next to love. So it is about managing and navigating our relationships with those who may be considered, excuse me, difficult or challenging. So I really do not want to make this episode really heavy because when I really, really dig deep, I kind of get all my complications and things coming out of it because I can give so many different examples of situations that include like examples of my before mindset and my after mindset. So I like to put them in episodes, but I don't always do it because then they just end up being so long, my episodes, right? So I am going to attempt to do this on a level that's fairly digestible, and then I may go back and record a part two. Just know with some of my stuff that I will sometimes even tell you I'm not going to tell you always that I will definitely make a part two, because sometimes, okay, sometimes I have the intention of making the part two, but I get not only just sidetracked, something else or another topic becomes more important. So since I don't really get people's response on what I think that they would want to hear me talk about, I just do things like this, which I think could be very, very helpful. I know that it has helped me after 20 some years, specifically dealing with these people that I will not mention because that's not necessary. But just to kind of, they are my interpersonal relationships, right? So whether they are personal or professional, I do have a lot of experience with them. And so that's what I want to share, to bring some just like basic mindset tools, tips, different perspective. And I like using navigating or managing these relationships because it doesn't mean that they are horrible or terrible or anything. Um, to where, yeah, maybe some people are like, I don't want that in my life at all. I don't want to have to deal with it. I don't want the challenges. I don't want whatever. And I would not say that I am attracted. Well, I have become attracted since I was in my early 20s. Um, to challenge, I guess, but I didn't know that I wanted it. So for me, I ended up realizing it's a really good thing for me. I think if I kept relationships more on, uh, I don't want to say a passive level, or just not challenging on any level, like nobody around me, I think that I probably would have become bored, like, and I definitely wouldn't have grown enough. So I did see that about myself once I started to learn and I was pushed and kind of dealing with people where you're kind of like, I don't know if I like them. I don't know what I think about this, right? And that even started around the very first place that I worked at, in a retail beauty supply store, right? Okay, so I wanted to say that little clip there is that's what I'm going to talk about today, is that um, there is a book called Verbal Judo. I've referred to it before, and I'm sorry I don't remember his name right now, but he actually went by Doc. And he wrote a book. He's former martial arts and law enforcement officer. And I know that he passed, I think, from throat cancer. I don't remember what year specifically. But he helped a lot of people with how to deal with people on the streets. And he had a couple of videos that I watched way, while ago in the past 10 years that he was talking about the different types of personalities out there, right? Because he would get involved, having to arrest or deal with people um, on the road. Because I don't remember if he did a bit of like highway patrolling, but he definitely did had to do things where it involved him pulling people on the road and having to deal with them. And so he was giving some examples of basically these different types of personalities that you have to deal with. And if you work in environments, right, with lots of maybe, in the city, like I say, that has all sorts of different types of people, different morals, different etiquette, different things like that, which is less likely, from my experience, to happen in the country because the city is just mishmash, right, of different types of people. So, um, that has been my experience. So that book is really excellent. There are some parts in it that I know though that I skipped over because I think they were a little bit just going into too much detail of certain things that I couldn't apply or something like that. I don't remember exactly, but I really loved a lot of parts in it. And so during my self-defense training specifically, that is one of the books that I studied under, that I helped, that really helped me. And like I said, I've learned a lot of these different phrases and talks and different things, but I am not perfect. And do I do them every time? No. But it gives me the confidence to do them, especially learning social skills. Like, so learning social skills is one of like the best things that could have ever happened to me. Um, so that's why I just laugh again at myself, who I was before, how much I've grown, and like amaze myself just because I would have never guessed. I don't even know if I had the interest. I don't even know that I would have cared, you know. Feels good and safe and secure to stay sometimes, in that anger hate mode, and it feels good. And so, um, being any other way, talking to people nicely, all that stuff, it doesn't mean I was against it. I just really wasn't like that attracted to it. So, what I want to do here in not making overcomplicating this episode is to explain to you a little bit more about, for me, okay, pain has always been information and frustration as a means of growth. I believe I keep repeating that as if Bruce Lee said it, and he did. It's maybe even lengthier, right? He basically says there it doesn't give us any incentive like to grow ourselves, right? If we aren't being pushed. But you would have to have an interest in wanting to grow yourself, right? Okay, so that's why skateboarding around the age 14, there weren't really any kick-ass guys in my school that were doing this, but in neighboring schools that they were. And so I was attracted to that whole mindset, right? Strength, falling and getting up again, no matter how many times you get hurt, and they just keep doing it because they just love it so much, right? And they're probably not even analyzing it like I do, of the whole psychology behind it. So, with that being said, I know I say that a lot, is that when I have met people with this type of personality, I've realized that it is going back to that, right? I am attracted to strength and mindset. I'm strength, I'm attracted to confidence, things that I feel like I want to be like that. Like, I guess it is like an envy, like how do I be like that? I want to have that strength. I want to have that confidence, that self-assuredness, and secretly inside of myself, right? So, this is also how I can relate to how somebody in particular would like their significant other, right, to have these qualities, and that is me. So, the difference is this type of personality can be very challenging. It can test so many things within yourself that the other person doesn't even realize that, I guess, it's possible that they don't realize that they are influencing you, me, in a good way, right? Unless we were to say it out loud or voice it, or they are just being themselves, right? So I've talked about this before. There are people that are very conscious of themselves and some people that are unconscious. And that's why a lot of these personalities, which can have narcissistic traits, look it up, okay, if you haven't studied it again, these traits, which I guess a lot of us, since I'm in my 40s now, would label as alpha male. I think they call it something else now, but strong ego, always thinking that they're right. But in that, I'm telling you this, is that some of them are very unconscious. Some of them would not know what that word is, a narcissist. And some of them, they might not even care. They might not, so many things. Okay. So my experiences is with them is male or female. Some are conscious, some are not. Okay. And so when you are around these type of people, there's a level of compassion. I think it depends on who you're dealing with, but there's a level of compassion needed in being around them. And since I do a lot of praying, meditating, and a lot of energy work in sending to the situation of whoever I'm dealing with, right? If it was somebody I was working with, living with, around, a friend, or whatever it is, I have a lot of compassion and love, because if I know their intentions are good, I am going to love and support them. Okay, so that's my view on that, um, including my mom who had these traits. So I have family members. I have, like I said, a lot of different people around me that have had some different personality disorders. Right, we talked about the narcissism, borderline personality disorder, and maybe even antisocial, which can't define that so much in words. But all personality disorders that can make you crazy if you try to figure them out, you know? So, narcissists, though, are one of the most confusing to me to understand them. So, that's always been a fascinating one to me. Okay, so energetically sending compassion and love to them and really understanding where they're coming from, but also understanding their lack of consciousness, right? How they're treating you, what they're doing, their behavior. Okay, so it doesn't excuse any behavior, it just helps me understand them, and then I get to decide how much of I want to be involved in their life, or vice versa. um, so here we are. That's pretty much what I wanted to say, people, with this, keeping it on a very uh, brief, simple area to discuss, is that I haven't totally talked about like the tips and how to manage this relationship. Why would you want to? And always I will say, with anything, when it comes to relationships, platonic or romantic, they in general are a risk. Okay, when I say risk, is we cannot guarantee the length or phase or anything in our lives, right? And I have come to the point of realizing finally, in the Buddhist ways, when they keep saying not attaching and enjoying things for the moment, and impermanence, right? Thinking something is going to, or I guess I should say, I've kind of always thought of permanence in relationships, that this was my experience, right? They're going to stay the same. They're going to stay the same. They're going to last X amount of time, maybe for my life. Oh, I thought that person was a good friend, or this is how I felt towards them. And then it ended up going through its phase, or whatever it is, right? And where I can tell you that, excuse me, energetically, when you are done with those sorts of friendships or soul contracts or whatever, the energy is gone, right? Whether it is you just no longer have anything to talk about, or whatever it is you were supposed to learn with them, right? And sometimes it's not always so deep, the lessons that we're learning with people. So, right now I'm going to go ahead and end this. I may do a follow up one, okay? It really kind of just depends because I have to sit down again and format this and lay it out to kind of give you more tips and maybe more examples. But I think if I were to leave you with any sort of example right now, it would be if you are assigned a task or somebody is asking you to help them with something. I'm going to say this personality, right? The difficult slash challenging personality. And they get very frustrated that you are not doing it the way that they want or feel is the best way. You know, I know this happens with me is that it's probably that I'm taking it personally, but I've realized in the end, because if I'm doing the task the way that I feel that is the correct way, or just my way, or the way that I like it, right? I'm going to be stubborn about it, but I would get more, I guess, I am compassionate in understanding that the way that they are doing it, which sometimes the way that I am shown is actually a better way and a more effective way and more thorough way. And it's my ability to see that, right? Because I could, on the opposite side, get really mad, take it personally, get frustrated, get upset, all these sorts of things. So that is one of the best examples that I can give you in realizing, like, hey, your way, right? Your way is your way, and my way is my way, right? Just kind of like in life. I am open to their way and trying their way, right? To that other person. But that person's attitude, because they are difficult and challenging, might be combative. They might test you more. They might get more angry. They are going to, they may react differently. Okay, so I hope I explained that well, right? To recap, is that this difficult and challenging personality, which you can apply in many situations, I'm just giving you the one with regarding a task, is that they might blow up, become very impatient. They might, so that is where you're going to butt heads, right? And that is always not always conducive to a working together, living together situation. Okay. I think probably my situation, though, is just very unique because of all of the compassion and understanding and insight that I have just learned on my own in dealing with these types of situations. Enough to know I've put enough work into these relationships in my life to be able to hopefully help you. Okay? So I will meet you in the next video. Again, Spotify and Pandora, I am on. Those are my audio only shows and more variety there, my music influences and different things like that. And um, YouTube has my video recordings and different stuff, different things on there, different types of playlists, and lots of different things who have influenced me to this day. Okay, so I will meet you in the next video. Have a good night.